Hello and welcome to the first Crafty Friends tutorial. My name is Kylie Swain from Blossom Designs here in Australia. I hope you enjoy our monthly card tutorials. This is what we'll be making today. It's a fun fold card. It's pretty cute. A little bit tricky to fold, but this is why the video is here. And look, you can even stand it up. And we'll be using the Sweet Conversations stamp set as well as the Sweethearts dies. Lots of dies there to choose from as well. I also used the Stitch So Sweetly die, and it's the second largest of the scalloped rectangle. There it is there. I do love these dies as well. So why don't we get started? So my base card is real red. I'll just grab my trimmer. All the measurements for the cardstock for the cutting is in the tutorial, so please refer back to that because I'll be working in centimeters, and if you're wanting to work in inches, it's all there for you. But I'm just cutting along the short side of the cardstock. Now we're doing the long side. If you're wanting to make this in a different size, then you need 3 equal parts along here. So this is what we're doing now. So I'm going to make sure you've got that score blade, not your cutting blade. So we're doing 3 equal parts, which is why I cut just a small piece off the end of that. So now we're going from the corner to that first score line. And you're just going to line that up in the track there. So line that corner up and then the edge of that score line down the bottom. Okay, move it up a bit for you. This does need to be precise, so if you can get it as close to that corner as you can, then that will make things a lot easier. So now you're going to score the other side, the other end, and exactly the same way as the first one. You don't need to go in the opposite direction. So again, lining the track up with that corner bit, and then with the score line, that second score line. Okay, the next bit we don't need the trimmer for, but you will need a pencil and a ruler. So you're going to measure from each of those score lines, the center ones, or the 3 ones, the 2 ones I should say. I'm measuring 5 centimeters, which is 2 inches. So you're doing from the top on one side and then from the bottom from the other side. Keep your ruler handy and just get a scoring tool. So you're going to go from that pencil mark again to the corner of the cardstock. Go over it a few times just so you get a nice crease there, because when you're folding you want that crease to be really good. So again, you've got your 2 score lines here and you're going to meet up. It's always meeting up the score line. And then again on the other side, it's easier just to turn the cardstock around. So again from score line to corner, and then from score line to score line. And the last one. And that's it. Now we're just going to burnish all the score lines. So grab your bone folder, and the straight ones are fairly easy. And then you're going to do the two edges, but they're going to tuck out. So you're going to go score in the opposite, burnish in the opposite direction. And then with these two, hold your cardstock down, and you're just going to pull that towards you, and that score line should bend all on its own. And then you're just going to hold it down there, burnish it really well, and then give it a bit more of a burnish. And then that score line there will want to bend over it as well on its own. So you just push it back over, fold it down, and there you go. And that's what it looks like. So you're going to repeat that on the other side. Just make sure you go along that score line. And again, push it down, and that other score line should naturally fold. There you go, so you've got both. Oops, it's running away from me. And then that's how it folds. It's really simple once you see it. It's a little hard to explain on paper, which is why in my tutorial I have written down that it's easier to watch the video than try to talk you through it. So lie it back out flat as you can, because we're going to put the panel in, the white panel in, where you can stamp your sentiment and write whatever you wish to write. Sorry, I just had to move everything out of the way and grab my bit of cardstock there. So that full piece is the length of the cardstock minus 1/2 centimetre, so I've gone 1/2 centimetre smaller on each side. But to get that angle, remember we scored at 5 centimetres, so I'm going 5 centimetres in on the top and the bottom, and then we are going to cut, bring my trimmer back in, from that pencil mark to the corner. So line it up in that track. Now I just started off the edge of that cardstock, because being on a corner piece, like right on the edge there, sometimes it catches. So again, line the pencil mark up and the corner with the track, and then I just bring my cutting blade in, and there you go. And that will sit perfectly in that space. So while I've got it out, I might as well glue it down, because we don't need to do anything else with that centerpiece. You know, if you wish to stamp your sentiment, do it before you glue it in. I'm not stamping on mine today. And I like to use liquid glue when I do this. I have a bit more wiggle room if I can't place it nice and straight. Okay, so let's move on to the next bit. So this is the designer series paper, and I love this. It's so fun and colourful. But again, you've got your measurements. You need to cut the cards, the DSP, and then you're going to diagonally cut it in half. So again, get the cutter and put it into the middle of the paper before you start cutting, so it doesn't catch the edge. And then we're going to glue that on to the front. So one side there and the other side on the other side. So this can get a little messy because you've got that small corner at the tip. Sorry, I'm off screen a little bit there. If you're better with dry adhesive, then I take my hat off to you. Go for it. I know that I did put a little bit too much glue on, liquid glue on, but that's okay. It wipes away. I'm just going to place it down. And then place the other piece down. My glue was running out. Shake, shake. I've got glue all over my fingers now. The fun of crafting. So just place that one down as well. If you get glue on your table, just get a wipe or a wet cloth and the glue will come off. So that's what it's starting to look like. It's coming together. So now we're going to do the front panel. Just bring in my cut and emboss machine, my well-loved cut and emboss machine, as you can see. I'm just going to cut this panel out. Look how loved my machine is. My plate is actually cracked, but it still goes, it still works. Just grab a scrap bit of paper because we're going to do a bit of stamping. I'm going to grab the stamp set. Just a minute. So there's two ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you the first way, and then the second way, which I found to be a lot easier. So you can put all of your stamps, put them on your clear blocks. I should fast forward through this, shouldn't I? It's a bit slow. Just make sure you get the the right size block. It doesn't matter if it's the block's too big for the stamp. You just don't want it too small. So my ink pad is very juicy. I don't know if you could see that. And I'm just moving the ink to one side. Can you see how the ink is pulled down the bottom end? Sometimes if there's too much ink, you'll get your image won't be as crisp. So I always just get an old credit card and I just rub it along just gently. Don't go too hard, but I rub it along gently. So here's me showing you how you can stamp each image. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I have to get things right, like line them up, they have to be centered, it has to be, so doing it that way was not going to really work for me. So what I did was I laid out, as you can see, all the stamps on the panel. Laid them out roughly and then moved them around, straightened them up. Yep, I think I've got it where I want them. And then I grab a bigger block and I put them all on at once. So I'm measuring once and I'm stamping once. So much easier than trying to stamp 5 different stamps and get them in the right spot. Excuse my light reflecting off the block there. So now I've got all of that stamped. I just need to wipe because real red ink gets everywhere. So give them a good wipe. And then grab your stamp that you need to put in that other corner and just stamp away. There we go. So now you've got the solid image which goes on the inside of the heart. So here are those bits. I generally have 2 of the smaller size blocks. So as you can see, the 2 at the bottom of the screen are the same size clear block, and the 2 at the top are the same size as well. I use those the most. So just grabbing my ink pads again. They're juicy ink pads, so I have previously used them and I've wiped that ink away. Now I was just testing that because I think, yeah, see how that image looks to be a bit, it's not clear, so, and that's a good indication that there's just a bit too much ink. So let's start that again, and that's what we want, that image, not the really dark one. So I will re-stamp the first one I did because that was very pale. There we go, that's better. Always close your ink pad when you've finished. Who's been there and done that? You've gone to change an ink pad and you've just stuck your finger in the previous colour and then it gets on your project and you've just about finished it. Okay, so there's the Blushing Bride. And I stamped that one in the centre because that was just my guide, but we're going to stamp that image. I'll just bring my real red ink back in. We're going to stamp that and then we're going to cut it out because we're going to raise that on with dimensionals. So this is Highland Heather ink again, just making sure. So I only did, 2 scrapes along. Doesn't need to be hard, just very gentle because you don't want to ruin your ink pad either. And there we go, look at that. This is such a fun colour combination in this, the DSP as well. I'm going to bring the cut and emboss machine back in. Make some room. I highly recommend this machine. If you don't have one, please check it out because it's really good. It's got a wider base, so you can fit majority, if not all, dies through it, and embossing folders. So if you've got other branded products, you're good to go. I just use a bit of painter's tape to hold it down. Make sure that you get the stickiness off it first before using it on your cardstock because it will tear. So a way to ensure it doesn't tear is to go slow. So get your hold it down. So I've got a little bit of a tear there because I was holding it up a bit. I normally do it on the desk, but I saved it. If you hold it on a flat surface and then you just peel it away, don't lift it up like a band-aid, you peel it along, rub your hand along the desk, it will just come off perfectly. So now I'm going to grab a dimensional and place that over the center one. And that bit is done. So that is going to go in the center. But what you're wanting to do is you're only wanting to put dimensionals underneath that top left corner, so from corner to corner. Otherwise, if you put dimensionals all over the rectangle, then you're going to adhere it shut, it won't open at all. So you just want it in that top left hand corner. And you're just going to place the ribbon behind, and just seeing how you don't want it going to like over the top of the card, so and place that in the center. Now I'm just going to turn it over, and while it's there, just hold on to it and grab some more dimensionals, and the dimensionals will hold the ribbon in place. I just moved it then, didn't I? So okay, so remember, you only want dimensionals on that left side. Use as many or as little dimensionals as you like. It's totally up to you. So you don't want to go right up to that corner, because that's where it'll hang over the cardstock. It'll hang over the edge of the flap, and then you'll get the other diagonal edge, and then you won't open your card. So I'm just going to cut that ribbon off a bit. And this is my little rubbish bin of dimensional backings. Just going to take the backings off. Okay, so you're needing to place this, sorry it's down the bottom of the screen, get the ribbon right, but you're going to place that as center as you can, but make sure that your corners, your opposite corners are in line with the fold in the center where the two panels open. So as you can see, my dimensionals didn't go over, right on the edge, and you can just see that raised. I'll just trim that ribbon. That's again, perfectionist in me, it's got to be right. One side's too longer than the other. Alright, so now we are going to add I've got those beautiful iridescent rhinestones. So we're just going to place 3 of them around anywhere you like. I find it easier to pick it up and bend the plastic. There you go. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I've had fun making this card, and I hope that we see you again next month for our February tutorial. Take care, bye.